Movie trailers are about as old as movies themselves. What better way to get butts into seats than to show a small portion of a film in order to pique audience intrigue? They say a picture is worth 1,000 words, but video can show us so much more. In fact, we can get 24 to 60 pictures every second. So cutting the perfect trailer is crucial in order to get audiences to chatter about their biggest and smallest films. But there's much more to cutting a trailer than simply splicing a whole bunch of clips together. The first movie trailer dates way back to 1913, and they were actually originally designed to be shown after the feature presentation. These promotional materials would trail behind the main film, thus the term trailer was coined, and audiences would leave the theater talking about the next big movie that they wanted to see. Nowadays, things are a little different. Movie trailers are the third most consumed form of visual media online, ranked after user-generated content and the news. So yeah, they're kind of a big deal. People really enjoy watching them, and for some of the biggest movies releasing today, we even get countdowns and online hype to see the very first bits of footage from the most hotly anticipated films of the year. Now, we live in an age where the anticipation and conversation around trailers are just as important and engaging as the film themselves. Film studios sometimes have big press events where they reveal trailers, such as Star Wars Celebration. Studios now announce the date that the trailer will drop, much like Captain Marvel in 2018. Heck, sometimes there are trailers for trailers. Sometimes trailers make their debut during the Super Bowl or on a late-night show. Film studios rarely, if at all, make their own trailers. With the rarest of exceptions, movie trailers are outsourced to a marketing company who are given a strict guideline and have to compile a movie trailer based on the footage they were allowed to use. Easier said than done, right? With such demand for flashy and inspiring trailers, which sometimes can be seen as mini works of art in themselves, more studios have sprung out to claim a piece of the booming trailer industry, making it harder to claim those coveted films. Now, these companies employ some of the best and brightest in the field, who know how to market a specific film to its target audience and the general public. So bearing that in mind, it shouldn't come to be a shock that some trailers can take up to 2 years to perfect. And cutting a trailer isn't like cutting that student film you did in college, where you can do all the work on your own. It can take up to 16 people just to cut one trailer, and for some of the bigger productions, multiple companies may be involved in the development of the trailer or trailers. And don't think because there's limited footage to use that a movie trailer is easier to cut. Some trailers end up going through 200 different cuts before the version we see on the internet is unveiled. Depending on the scope of the film, some trailers enter a pre-production-like phase, while the movie is still filming. This is why it's not uncommon to see trailers a year out before release. This is why sometimes deleted scenes from the biggest films are included in the trailers, as they've yet to make it through the final phase of editing. It's also the reason why you may have noticed some of the visual effects coming off as a bit unpolished or different from the final cut. That's because the visual effects department, who are working for the studio, haven't completed their work, and the trailer companies are essentially working with earlier material that may not be the final cut. Movie trailers have definitely evolved over the years. If you were to look up some of the trailers from, say, the 50s, they may look downright alien by today's standards.
This could be the beginning of the end for the human race.
Even trailers from not too long ago seem different. Films such as Pirates of the Caribbean used rapid editing in their trailers to illustrate excitement and energy, at the cost of having images blur past each other, which may not give the best representation of the product. Some highly anticipated modern trailers for films like Marvel, Disney, or Star Wars can often use their brand to sell itself, which allows for the trailers to be less revealing and more dialogue-heavy. Kevin Feige revealed that the behemoth Avengers Endgame trailer, which features a lengthy dialogue scene in the opener, comprised of footage from the first 20 minutes or so of the movie, meaning there's a whole lot of unknown going on in the rest of the film. Another aspect that's become more prevalent with modern trailers is the use of the teaser trailer. Some audiences may argue that certain film trailers show off way too much footage, and quite often, they're right. Some of the biggest blockbusters in recent years have shown off quite a bit of their film, and while this may have angered fans in the comment sections, it didn't affect the box office performance. But ideally speaking, movie trailers should show as little as possible, as it generates a different kind of buzz and gets people talking about the possibilities, which of course is where early fan theories can stem from. it's worth mentioning the struggle of cutting a good comedy trailer. Comedy, by its very nature, depends on jokes, but everyone knows that a joke isn't as good the second time. So trailers have to show the audience the movie is funny while also holding back on all the goods. Some films, well, they don't do this and put too many eggs in their baskets, which takes away from the film. But some movies actually use alternate or deleted scenes for the trailer, which gives an idea of what the humor will be like without actually spoiling any jokes that are in the final cut. Genius. Unlike these show-all trailers, though, a teaser trailer is a relatively new concept that actually shows a lot less than a regular trailer. These clips barely give away any plot points, if at all, and instead rely on tone and perhaps nostalgia to hook their audiences. Case in point, the teasers for Avengers Endgame and Infinity War, which rank at number 1 and 2 respectively on the list of most watched trailers of all time. Number 3 is the upcoming Lion King teaser, illustrating that showing less and having a trusted property is a surefire way to garner plenty of buzz and get the conversation started. A huge part of a trailer, though, doesn't come from the actual visuals, but from the sound. Quite often, the music you hear in the trailer actually isn't from the final cut of the film. Since the score hasn't been finished yet, the trailer company usually has to use placement music in order to help generate a tone. Sometimes it's a composition made specifically for a trailer. Popular artists Two Steps from Hell have done music for many trailers, while in other cases, popular music can be used to help make the movie seem outrageous or even fun, such as 2018's film The Meg, which used the 1959 song Somewhere Beyond the Sea as part of its promotional material, despite the song not being used in the film. A trailer that used music from the final film, however, was the excellent trailer for Mad Max Fury Road, which used Dies Irae from Verdi in the film. It's worth mentioning that the Fury Road trailer won Most Original Trailer at the Golden Trailer Awards. Did you know there was a Golden Trailer Awards? Likewise, a trailer may use an older track and jazz it up with modern effects and trends in order to reel in a wider audience. That, or you may hear a dark cover of a once preppy song which has become much more common over the past couple of years. Case in point, the somber version of Radiohead's Creep for The Social Network, or the grief-stricken interpretation of What a Wonderful World for the Geostorm teaser. The first trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy combined these last 2 points when it came to its introduction of Hooked on a Feeling. The song featured in both the film and the trailer, but after teasing the song, it got remixed with a heavy drum beat. The footage then became much more frantic before fading back into the original recording for the title role. There's more to the sound design than just music, though. It may be annoying now that it's pointed out, but do you know that crescendo sound that plays in a trailer and cuts before the next bit of the trailer continues?
Every night that he would escape.
That's commonly referred to as a rise, and it's there to actually increase your interest. Almost like a roller coaster that suddenly stops at the peak, or a book chapter that ends with a cliffhanger. You'll most likely hear this effect in movies with a higher dose of adrenaline, like action films, thrillers, or horror flicks. With this tactic, you're left feeling like you want to know what happens next, and like a book or a roller coaster, the trailer gives the next bit to you almost right away, because nothing makes consumers feel better than instant gratification. So, if a trailer is building up tension and the sound rises to its maximum, the following shots will usually transition from dialogue to scenes that shift the tone to something more intense. Likewise, the sound may drop into a deep bass, which is almost like a guaranteed cue for something cool or revealing to happen once the sound stops. So, where did this sound effect come from? An effect that was heavily used in a lot of trailers in 2017, for instance. Well, according to The New Yorker, we have Inception to thank for that, as the deep wahs that became so famous in that film became a trendsetter. But sometimes marketing firms have to be creative with how they deal with sound and editing. It's one thing to simply place clips in a particular order and have the sound fade in and out over a catchy soundtrack. But sometimes trailers take it a step above and have the action edited to the music in the trailer. An excellent example of this would be the Suicide Squad trailer that featured Bohemian Rhapsody. While not a technique used throughout, many of the cuts are synced to what we hear, making the visual language tie directly into what we're hearing. It's an effective way of being memorable when all the other trailers are following a different formula. Likewise, trailers have an interest in time, especially if it plays into the plot of the film. The plot of Christopher Nolan's film Dunkirk centered around 3 interwoven stories that took place at different points in the timeline. As the film got closer to the end, those timelines began to converge, and so did the intensity of the film. To help illustrate that, the first official trailer used the sound of a ticking clock to build tension, showcasing that time and tension were relevant to the film. The result was a trailer that captured the tone of the film within 2 minutes. Trailers are also cut in such a way that they can bait a reaction from an audience by splicing 2 scenes together that actually isn't part of the same scene in the feature film. A case example of this would be the end of the final trailer for The Last Jedi, when Rey tells someone she needs someone to help her, only to have the action cut to Kylo Ren extending his hand to her. While the theme is similar to what we see in the film, this moment is actually comprised of 2 scenes, and it was cut together simply to get a reaction from the audience, to get them talking, and even more importantly, get them confused and curious. The only proper way to find out the answers is to see the movie yourself, after all, and that's what these trailers are doing. Another trick that trailer companies use when splicing up footage together is to get a shot of a character or characters reacting to something that happened at a different point in the film in order to help illustrate the genre of that film. If the film is supposed to be a comedy, expect to see either laughter or one of those "I regret everything" looks that will come right after something not so clever happens.
That was so intense. I can't even with this place.
Likewise, a quip may precede or follow a moment of action.
Rookie, you ready?
Yeah.
You look ready.
These scenes may not have anything to do with each other, but as part of promotional material, they help inform the audience of what they're getting themselves into. There's a relatively new trend you may have noticed when watching trailers online over the past 2 years or so. Let's say you see that a new trailer has been released and you quickly click on that thumbnail of the video. Instead of instantly being presented with a trailer, you're suddenly given a 5 to 8 second tease of the trailer before it even starts. This particular part of the trailer is known as the trailer bumper. For some, it's an annoying addition to new trailers, as they don't need to watch a teaser for a trailer that they're just about to watch. For others, it quickly sets the tone and lets indecisive audiences get a peek of their film in a few seconds, and tries to get them right at the start with a cool shot that will keep them watching the whole trailer. Because online, it's all about that retention. Please click like and subscribe. The bumper shots are chosen to be the most engaging and energetic moments of a film for this reason. Instead of seeing the green "Approved for All Audiences" banner or studio logos, you get to see cool action, such as this shot in the final Wonder Woman trailer. In an interview with Mashable, Sony's Executive Vice President of Worldwide Marketing, Elias Plishner, stated that adding these bumpers have increased retention and buzz around a trailer and its feature film by almost 4 times than movies without it. In this day and age, studios and firms have to bear in mind that many people are watching trailers on their mobile screens, and their retention rate may be different if they're not in front of a computer screen. By adding these small bumpers at the front of the screen, they were able to hook audiences who may otherwise turn the video off less than a minute in. Now, let's not forget that when marketing firms are cutting a trailer, they have to make it so that it's available to all audiences. All trailers have to get approved by the MPAA in order to get the much desirable green band, approved for all audiences. Now, for children's films, this is no problem. Even the PG-13 is pretty safe in the trailer editing room. But things get pretty tricky when it comes to cutting a trailer for an R-rated film. The challenge comes in trying to get that audience in without showing any of the bits that will make it R-rated. So there can be no profanity, nudity, or bloody violence in these trailers. So these companies may actually have to edit the original footage so they can insert it into the final trailer. Is there too much blood in some of the shots? Yeah, that may have to be color corrected for the trailer. So when you see the footage in a trailer clip, blood may appear to be black or brown as it's been heavily edited with a color corrector. Is there an iconic line that features a curse word or an inappropriate line? Perhaps it'll cut right before it's spoken, or maybe it'll be completely dubbed over with a different word or line. Clothing may also be digitally placed on top of a person to make it more friendly. Because at the end of the day, trailers are ads, and movie studios want as many people to be seeing these ads as possible. But it's not always sunshine and daisies with these movie trailers. Film studios and marketing firms recognize that people who want to see an R-rated movie usually want to go see it for all the bits that make it R-rated. It's sort of hard to market a movie like Assassination Nation or The Happy Time Murders and make it look safe. It may actually be counterintuitive. That's when the red band trailer comes into play. As soon as the trailer starts and audiences see that dark red banner, the audience is automatically intrigued. One of the best examples in recent memory of a successful red band campaign was the first Deadpool movie. R-rated superhero films are a tricky business. There was the Blade trilogy for Marvel, and DC gave us Watchmen, but being PG-13 allows for a wider profit margin, or at least that's what we thought. But fans really wanted an unhinged Deadpool film, and the only way to really showcase what that movie would be like is by letting Deadpool do the talking himself. Literally. Suddenly, fans were very well aware of what kind of movie this one would be, one that wouldn't be toned down for the masses. Deadpool would go on to become the second most profitable R-rated film of all time. Now, once a firm has been hired and a trailer cut, comes perhaps one of the toughest yet most important decisions on a trailer's life: when to launch the trailer. For the most part, trailers seem to launch around 8 months before a film releases, and that's a suitable time frame to get 2 to 3 trailers out to the public to steadily build hype. But some films play on their own terms. Some films give audiences their first look at their film almost a year before the actual release date. This creates a huge marketing window and usually means that the gap between trailers 1 and 2 is much larger than the average film. Movies like Dunkirk's first trailer, which comprised of a single scene, or Interstellar's first reveal, were just under a year from release. After the success of the Batman films and Inception, Nolan became one of the most bankable directors in Hollywood, and the studio could market the film around him and build up hype this way well in advance. Likewise, The Force Awakens pulled back the veil almost 13 months before the film was released to help generate hype for a franchise many believed would never return to the big screen. It's not always foolproof, though. Justice League showed off its first footage almost a year and a half before its release, and while the hype was definitely there for the movie, the result of 2 different directors clashes on screen and spooked many fans away. Then there's the exact polar opposite with the same desired effect. The marketing campaign for the last 2 Avengers films has been decidedly different than the rest of the MCU. The first reveal for Endgame came around 4 months before the film is set to debut. While this is often a death sentence for some films, such as Solo: A Star Wars Story, Avengers can essentially sell itself, and by holding back on the trailer, the fan base essentially created a marketing campaign of buzz without Marvel having to even lift a finger. The fevered demand for footage as the release date began to loom overhead drove fans crazy. Now, most of these tactics and strategies are made for the modern audience, who get their trailers online for the first time, but it wasn't always like that. Before the rise of video streaming online, fans would get their first look at upcoming movies at the cinema or on home video. Lucasfilm was very aware of this fact back in 1998 and actually advertised that the first look of The Phantom Menace would be playing in front of Meet Joe Black, The Waterboy, and The Siege. This was enough to get fans so excited that they paid money to watch the movie trailer, only to leave the cinema once it was done. So, let's thank the internet that we don't have to do that for every major blockbuster movie that comes out today. So with all of that in mind, it's no surprise that film trailers are studied and scientists have looked into how they affect the human brain. Of course, it should be a no-brainer to learn that a buzzworthy trailer that hits all the right buttons will more often than not play a role in how the movie does at the box office. It's not a guaranteed plan, but if the pre-release hype was high and the critic rating was low, the film will still generally do well on its opening weekend. And even if a movie is completely awful, as long as it had a killer trailer, it will likely do well at the box office. Personal case in point, the Suicide Squad trailers. Now those were cool trailers, and the movie made a boatload of money too, despite the extremely harsh critical reviews. Part of the challenge of making a movie trailer is that once something new and exciting comes along that changes how we do movie trailers, everybody else gets in on that. When was the last time you heard a narrator in a movie trailer? Nowadays, it's actually just voiceover clips from the film itself that's usually played on top of visuals and clips, much like Han and Rey's exchange in the Force Awakens trailer. Or how repetitive did the Inception-sounding "wahs" get in every other trailer? Trailer companies have to always find a way to find the next best thing, and do that in an industry where over 100 companies are thinking the same thing, making it it harder to think originally. Once something original actually comes, though, it instantly becomes a formulaic norm. Now, watching a trailer is almost just as fun as watching a film. Fans piece through every frame, and before long, there are videos that talk about potential theories and Easter eggs pertaining to that trailer. That sounds familiar. There are audience reaction videos to trailers being released, and none of this applies exclusively to film either. There are television shows that use the same formulas found in film trailers, and you can even have cinematic quality trailers for the biggest games releasing. Just look at what Red Dead Redemption did in the years leading up to its release. There's no doubt it's a lucrative industry, but so much also depends on it. And despite it being just another advertisement, fans just can't seem to get enough of their trailers. What is your favorite trailer of all time? And which trailer are you most looking forward to seeing this year? Is there a trailer you absolutely can't stand due to it revealing too much? Or is that not a major concern for you? Let us know in the comments section below, and be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this in your playlist every single day. Thanks for watching.